Yes.
But these strategies with the labeling and, making sure that you have some really clear expectations of the task and, planning ahead for how you want it to be organized, genius.
Welcome to Reframe and Reclaim. We are Courtney Huckabee, a psychotherapist,
and Jen Harris, an interior designer who have teamed up
to reflect,
challenge,
and reframe your mindset in relationship with your personal belongings.
Join us as we discuss and declutter all of the stuff that keeps us stuck.
Learn to intentionally create environments with improved function and design that cultivate peace of mind. Find the reframe.
Start your reclaim.
Welcome to another episode of Reframe and Reclaim. I'm Jen Harris.
And I'm Courtney Huckabee.
And today we are going to discuss my top 5 takeaways from moving. So I did a few new things this move to try and help with the transition and the ease and smoothness. And
moving from one home to another home.
Yes, and same state, only about 3 hours away. But I'd been in my previous home almost 10 years, so there's a lot of things, lots of dust bunnies hidden behind the furniture, and I found random socks and old pajamas from when my kids were under a year old behind the dryer. Yeah. So, but there's some things I tried new so these are going to be my top 5, and hopefully this will help you have a smoother moving transition. So, number 1, the first thing I did was, I had a good amount of time before I was moving, but I put bins out in my bathroom and on my kitchen, and I labeled them use before move. So it was things that I didn't want to take with me, but that still had product in it and I wanted to use it. So whether it was like toiletries and facial creams that I had never tried, or samples, or if it was a certain candle that I had halfway burned and I wanted to finish burning it before I left, right? So things like that where I knew I didn't want to move it, but I want to use it. So I left specific bins out, use before the move. And that really helped me to use up those products instead of just throwing them away before I left. Because normally what I would do is I wouldn't take them out. They would just sit in the cabinet. And then moving day, it's like, oh, either it goes with me or it doesn't, right? And then you're moving half-burned candles and random cleaning supplies.
Love this strategy because I actually do this with my food.
Oh, nice.
And this is like just a week by week thing, but it's like, okay, before I buy new whatever this is, like before I buy new pasta, because I love pasta, before I buy new pasta, I need to eat this one first. Before I buy, new fruit, I need to eat this first, because I hate being wasteful, but I will tell you, sometimes, if things get hidden behind things, especially in the bathrooms, especially in the kitchen, like things get tucked away in cupboards and stuff. I can imagine all the cleaning agents. Maybe you had the beautiful smelling candles that we love during, the seasons and changing. But that makes so much sense. I love that.
And even like I had a candle, like a wax burner. And I've really transitioned to more diffusers because I was smaller kids, and I don't want wax to get knocked over. So I knew I wasn't going to be taking those, but I had some really good smelling wax melts still. So I wanted to use those up before I moved. And while it did take up some visual space on the counter, it didn't get hidden. So it was a mental check of use this. And so it was only out, for a few months, but it helped me to use those products before I moved. So that was really helpful.
Something you will see instead of being hidden away.
Yes.
So smart.
Because if it's hidden, it's out of sight, out of mind, right? So number 2 was start small. So start with a small category or drawer. So like one of the things I started with was like socks. I realized I had downsized my socks quite a bit, but I was still only wearing the same like 7 pairs.
Most of us do.
Because I was just doing laundry, right? And so I would get back to my favorites. So I was able to go through, get rid of more socks, get rid of more undershirts, and all those things that either weren't fitting right or I just didn't like. I went through all my handbags and got rid of a bunch of purses, got rid of a bunch of shoes. And so really just taking one category at a time. And like I said, I did have some time. I knew about 6 months out I was going to be moving. So I was able to do, just like one category a day or something small, or the linen closet. But taking those smaller chunks really helped me feel like I was making progress without feeling overwhelmed.
And that's something we talk about in our book as well, is start with one drawer, start with one cabinet, start with one closet, And I love the idea of like just start with a category. Maybe I'm going to start with, undershirts. Maybe I'm going to start with, things in my closet. Maybe I'm going to start with shoes or the handbags. And then you have that thing and you can check it off. You get a little bit of that dopamine hit of look what I did. I've accomplished something. And then we get to say, okay, I did that. Maybe I can do another smaller thing. And those smaller tasks can really add up to a lot of momentum.
Yes, for sure. And then again, you're not exhausted by the end of the day. I mean, because everybody knows with moving, up until the last minute, you're always going. And there's always a random boxer bag of like, what is this? I don't know. Just shove it in and we'll figure it out at the end, right? That
so
mad
everyone
dash.
has that? Because I do too. I'm like, is that an everyone thing? It makes me feel better because
I thought it was an everyone thing.
Good.
I'm declaring it an everyone thing.
Good, because I've experienced it. It was like, I don't know what this is. We'll figure it out later.
Exactly. And you just live miscellaneous.
That's whenever it gets tucked in the garage, and then we'll figure it out later, 5 years later.
Important question mark? Yeah.
You're like, oh, there's a towel, and there's a shoe, and there's a cup, and there's a,
Yes, no rhyme or reason. It's the last minute, like, shove everything from the
So we don't want to do
countertop.
that. So if we do one category at a time, then we'll have less of those miscellaneous boxes.
Another strategy I found that works really well is having someone take my donations to the donation location so that way I could keep working. So if I'm sitting there going through and, decluttering and getting rid of stuff, I'm loading up the car, they're driving it away, and I can sit there and keep working, and I'm not, even though it's only 20, 30 minutes of drive time, that's still 20 or 30 minutes. I could get through a whole nother category or 2 or 3.
And I think it's so great when you do have other people in your family giving everyone a different task, because then it becomes like an assembly line. And you master this. I know how to do this. You know how to do that. Or I start, you take it, and then you finish the task. And it does help so much without the whole thing getting done in one day. I will just continue with this, and then I don't have to start up again, find that motivation to open another box later.
Because that momentum stopper is just a killer.
It's a stopper.
Yeah,
it is. It's a stopper. And it just like with the gym, if I put my shoes on and I go to the gym, great. But once I leave the gym, it's really hard to get back into the gym. So let me just walk that mile. Okay, now I'm going to walk another half mile. And I think this is what you're talking about is I got 1 box. Okay, I'll do another box. Or you know what? I've done 3 boxes. I can finish those last 2 over there since I've already done this many.
Exactly. Just keep that momentum going because time is of the essence when you're moving.
And energy.
Yes, lots of caffeine. Maybe that should be number 4 is caffeine. But I have number 4. This is, so I do Post-it notes on the doors of each room as I'm moving, because inevitably there's something that needs to be done. I need to put in a light bulb for the new person, or I need to go through this category. And so I will write on the door, I need to touch up paint. I need to go through the shoes. And so that way I have a checklist, and so does my husband or the kids, of this is what needs to be done for this room to be complete. And I can just check it off as we go.
And if you have this one long list of 15, 23 different items, it can feel so daunting.
Yes.
But again, that chunking of things is a really smart psychology over here.
And then I like it too, because then I get more things to check off. I love crossing things off. And then you feel like, okay, this room is done. I can walk away and know I've done all of my checklist.
But what I'm also hearing is part of the what do I need to do planning part, which is so important in any big task, is planning what needs to be done instead of just jumping in. Just like our book, we have to first reflect.
Yes.
Then we have to evaluate. But I love that you've even, broken it down for reflect in this space, evaluate in this space. And so, and your kids know, your husband knows, or if you have other friends or family helping, they know I don't have to wait for you. You can just say, hey, go to that task list, and then can you tackle that?
Yes. So that was extremely helpful. And
you should write a book.
Maybe if I have some time after I move. But going along with labels, something else I did, a friend of mine had actually done this for her move, and so she was able to do this for me. It's extremely helpful. So she typed up color-coded sheets of paper with the name of the room that the box would be going to.
So smart.
And so it's color coded. And so for our current home is it was 1,900 square feet, and we were moving into a 2,400 square foot home. So a lot of our rooms at our old house were doing double duty. So a lot of the items were going to be moving to separate rooms after the move. So I was able to go through and like, this is the office and this is the playroom, or this is the office and this is going to the guest room. And so we were able to divide them up in a way that's really easy to see. And then I'm making a floor plan for the new house. So that way, whenever the movers see it, they know this is going here, this is going there. So it's not, going to be, it's trying to streamline it and make it as easy as possible for everyone involved.
And my in-laws moved the beginning of this year, and they did something similar, not color coding, but in their new home, they actually labeled each of the rooms. Like, this is like guest room number 1, this is guest room number 2, this is the primary bedroom, this is the kitchen, this is the living, because there's no furniture when you move in, right?
Right.
But on their boxes, they also had labeled primary bedroom, guest room number 1, office, so that you could look at this. It'd be wonderful if they had a map of, okay, when I go in, I'm going to turn this way, go down that hallway. But I think that's so smart, because when you do have people helping you, you don't want to be stopped with all the questions, because that's just mental 100%. Overwhelm.
And then so we're doing a color-coded label, too, for the room on the door as well.
Wonderful.
So they see the colors over and over again. I will say we were blessed to have packers come and help us with this move. This is the first time I've ever had packers help. But it was interesting because he was like, I'm already labeling them. It was kind of like, what's your point? It's just double work. But I was just like, it's my own system, let me do it. And plus, like, I'm getting older, and like he's writing, but it's not super big print. And so I'm having to stop and look closer to see, okay, what does this say? Whereas if it's a big, half of an 8.5 by 11 sheet,
green paper,
right?
Yellow
Playroom's
paper,
red, office
red.
is purple, master bedroom's pink. It's very easy to just know and see. So
I love that.
I'm very excited about the move-in process with it and how it goes. I'll let you know.
Smart. So smart.
Thanks, Coraline. She was the one that did this whole color coordinated labels for me. So that's number 4. And then the 5th one, also going along with a smooth move day, is so I had my guys for 2 days. Not everybody gets to know the crew that well, but definitely getting snacks, getting plenty of waters, Gatorades, drinks.
Self-care.
Having anything that they need, because it is a long day for everyone. I know I didn't leave for lunch ever, and so it's long days and everybody gets a little hangry.
Of course.
And, so just having enough nourishment for everybody on board, they were super appreciative of it. And, then we're able to joke around and kind of laugh and
well, when you feel appreciated and you feel like somebody is doing something to say, this is for gratitude, this is, because you're doing this and it's your job, you're getting paid, but it kind of is like, you help them, they want to help you more too. So everybody's in a more positive attitude. Everybody's having fun. They're not hangry, dehydrated, and exhausted as much.
Yes.
Yeah. Because I know it's exhausting moving at all. It's exhausting.
Yes. And by that point, my fridge was empty. So it was like, just go in the fridge. Everything's cool in there. Grab whatever you want or need. So
really nice of you.
Yeah.
So, rating your move with these 5 amazing strategies that if I ever have to move again, I'm going to come back to this list. Thank you for that. But rating your move, if like 0 was, it was the worst thing ever, and 10 was, this was the most amazing, smooth thing, where would you put it?
Well, these strategies definitely helped to bring it up. There were other obstacles that made it less appealing, but that's moving in general, right?
Nobody
But I would say overall, the moving out process, because we have not moved into the new home yet, but I would say it's probably a 7 or 8.
Wow.
So I would say it was pretty positive.
Yeah, and I think, again, these things of planning ahead, kind of having a system, having organization, employing other people to be in the know of what needs to be done in each room, where these things go, labeling things very clearly and easily. It does take a little extra effort, but it's going to help things go so much more smoothly. And hopefully when you do get into the move in to your new home, that will be a lot less hectic as well.
Well, I don't know how many times I've moved previously, and it's like one box is randomly in another room, and it's like, I can't find it. It's like, where has this been? It's like, oh, it's over in the garage, or it's somewhere random. And so I'm really hoping it's going to, I know it's going to make the move-in process smoother.
Yeah.
It's just,
and reduce the miscellaneous
it can't be
boxes,
worse.
reduce like the things that have been lost or misplaced. And again, it's a process. It's not, we moved and now we're unpacked. It took months to pack and go through things. And I'm sure it was like, we'll get to more of the moving things, but like the unboxing of things that were already boxed to see if I need to continue to box this and store it somewhere else, which I've experienced is not fun. But if we're really taking that time, instead of this box has been in my garage for 6 years and I'm going to take it to the next home for 6 years, the next home for, however long.
I've done that too.
I have too. But when you actually take the time to go through that box, it may take you 10 minutes. It may take you an hour, but that's a whole lot less space taken up later.
Yes.
But these strategies with the labeling and, making sure that you have some really clear expectations of the task and, planning ahead for how you want it to be organized, genius.
And I will say, like all in all, we got rid of a treadmill, a fridge, 6 bookcases. We didn't bring our sofa. We got rid of, some like 6 carloads worth of stuff. So like we definitely did like a big purge beforehand. So it felt good not to be bringing all those things that we weren't going to be using.
And going from a smaller home to a larger home, bringing less will allow you to really make that new space fit and function instead of I've got to fit this stuff in. It's got to have a home. Well, maybe there's new things to come into your new home, which is really exciting.
Well, and we're going from a 3-car garage to a 2-car garage. So we knew we were needing to downsize and just take a really good, honest, reflective look on what we really want for our new home and our next life chapter. So so hopefully those 5 things will help you out. Again, it's, use before you move bins on the countertops. You get rid of all of the little bits of things that you have lying around that you want to use up before you go. Start small, do 1 drawer, 1 category at a time to help build the momentum, to keep the momentum going. See if you can have someone take your donations to the donation drop-off for you so that way you can keep on working. Number 4 is labeling things. So label outside the door of each room. So that way you know what your checklist is to get accomplished before you move. And then label everything inside that room a certain color. So that way you know in the new move where things will go easily without having to look for specifics on the box in someone else's handwriting possibly. And then 5th, just try to make the best of the day. Get some good snacks, some good food and water and drinks and make the best of it.
Some good sleep if you can.
Good sleep, yes.
For sure.
All the things. So.
Awesome. Well, if you found this helpful, as I did, let us know. And again, this is some really great strategies from somebody who's not only telling and teaching, but practicing these things. Yes. But we also have a great book, the Reframe and Reclaim book, the guide to help you reframe your relationship with your belongings, to help you reclaim your space, but also your peace of mind.
And I definitely followed those 7 steps whenever I was evaluating all my items to get rid of those 6 carloads worth of stuff, So.
Yeah. Was it worth it?
100%.
100%. So, verified client,
10 out of 10.
Another client satisfied with the Reframe and Reclaim 7-step guide.
Not only am I the writer, I'm also a client.
Me too, Anna. Thanks for listening in, and follow us on social medias and leave us a comment below.
See you next time. Bye.
Thanks for listening to us with Reframe and Reclaim at our podcast. If you are interested in more information about our book, you can find our book at any online retailer. You can also find us at reframe-reclaim.com.